Howdy, assholes! Are you 13? Are you? Well, let me tell you something. If you're 13 years old or older, sit back, grab yourself some popcorn, enjoy the show. You're allowed to stay. But if you're not 13, get the fuck out. Right now. This show is not for you. It is not for children. It is for adults and young adults, and you should go ask your parents why they suck at their job because they're letting YouTube raise their kid. So yeah, go do that. Come back when you're 13. Enough said.
Alright, people. At this point, let's be honest. Everyone's familiar with what a reboot is. Some reboots are good. In fact, there are two franchises that I would recommend reboot right now, but that's a topic for another day. And some reboots are so god-awful they have no reason to exist. Today, we're looking at a reboot. And thank God it is not option B. Because holy shit, goddamn Toho knows what they're doing. Obviously, I mean shit, this thing was gold. Alrighty, Noah. Are you ready, my man?
As always, I've been waiting for this moment.
No, I don't think you understand, Noah. Are you ready to cover what is essentially the golden age of Godzilla?
Insert Goji roar!
Oh man, I'm excited for this. Yes, the Heisei era of Godzilla films, and the first film in this series started with the return of Godzilla in 1984, but for simplicity's sake, we are just going to be referring to it as Godzilla 1985, because that's the name that most people associate with this movie, even though it was also the American re-edit.
Like they did all the way back in 1954.
Yep. Yeah, this film actually shares a lot of similarities like that with 1954. Yeah, back in the original film, just like in this one, the American edit cut out cut out parts of the original film and replaced them with Raymond Burr returning to reprise his role as Steve Martin.
Yep.
However, the actor of Steve Martin was popular at the time, so they just referred to him as Mr. Martin. I want to punch this son of a bitch in the mouth!
Which we also gotta give them a bit of props for having a bit of continuity with the actual original movie.
Yes!
Which Showa era did not really do well with.
Yeah, that is a very true thing. Yeah. This is the first in the Godzilla series that actually acknowledges the original film's events, and not in just like a hand wave gesture, like, oh yeah, by the way, the original movie happened, or what the fuck ever, let's move on to this movie now. No, this film actually treats the original film as a disaster that they are capitalizing on with this film. And actually, Noah, this movie came out during, like around the time of the Cold War, so that also had some influence on it, whereas, during the Cold War, throughout the whole movie, Japan doesn't want to take America's side, and, like, they're basically afraid of nuclear weapons, because, yeah, America wants to use nuclear missiles to kill Godzilla throughout the film. And actually, I kind of like the fact that, this film, actually involves itself with real-world events, because kaiju movies do tend to mirror the times, and I think that they did a great job with that in this film. Not only with Godzilla being the massive, terrifying monster he is, but also with the overlooming threat of Soviet and/or American nuclear attack. So, Noah, with that out the way, would you like to list off the characters?
Yes, sir. And for explanation, I am using the 1984 cast, not the 1985 re-edit one.
Yep.
We have Ken Tanaka is Goromaki. We have Keiju Kobayashi as Prime Minister Seiki Mitamura. I believe I said that right. We have Yasuko Sawaguchi as Naoko Okumura. We have Yosuke Yosuke Natsuki as Professor Makoto Hayashida. We got Shin Takuma as Hiroshi Okumura. We have Eitaro Ozawa as Minister of Finance Taizo Kanzaki. We got Hiroshi Koizumi as Professor Minami. We got Mizuho Suzuki as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Seiichi Emori. We have, let me see. Taketoshi Naito as Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirotaka Takegami. Okay. We got a also interesting name. John Kichi Orimoto as JSDF Chief of Staff Mori. We got Kei Sato as Chief Editor Goto. We got editor. We got Nobu Kaneko as Minister of Affairs Isamura. We got Takenori Endo as Desk Editor Kitagawa. Yoshifumi Taijima as Minister of the Environment Hidaka. We have as well as Kenpachiro Satsuma as Godzilla.
Alrighty. And yeah,
That's not
actually,
it.
what?
That's not it, man. We got the main star of the show. We got
Oh.
Tetsuya Takeda as Homeless Man.
Yes, obviously have to have the homeless man in there.
A main character. It's a main character.
The main character of the whole film, Godzilla 1985. Oh my god. Yeah, the homeless man. The homeless man is the one wrecking Tokyo. If Godzilla just put the...
Yeah, not Godzilla. Godzilla's just a bystander, man.
Nah. No. But that's actually really funny how you did that. I do approve of that. And yeah. This movie this movie did a lot of good shit, man. Seeing as how the last Godzilla film before this one was released in 1975, Toho did actually want to upgrade all of the suits, the visual effects, and the special effects. And as a result, Koji Hashimoto, who is the director, yeah, he I don't know if this was intentional or not, but he completely redesigned the Godzilla suit to look amazing, frankly. He is a lot bigger, he is a lot more scary, and he just looks flat goddamn menacing. Some of the animatronic close-ups look like shit, but for the most part, yeah. The Godzilla 1985, I'm just gonna call it 1984. The Godzilla 1984 design looks amazing, and it's easily one of the best suits that they've ever made. And now, actually, before we get into it, this is gonna be a common thing amongst the Heisei films. Noah, have you ever heard of Yuji Sakai?
Yep. Yes, I
Well,
have.
sir, do you know how he got his, well, not his reputation, but do you know how he became popular in the Godzilla franchise?
That I actually don't know.
Well, Yuji Sakai became popular in the Godzilla franchise for these things. Let me post this here. Why
You posted
is it
two.
not... Oh!
You posted two. You posted two.
Okay, let me... Okay. There you go, Noah. That is why Yuji Sakai is popular in the Godzilla franchise. He is the man who designed and drew, pretty much by hand, all of the posters for the Heisei era Godzilla films. Starting from this one, ending all the way up to Godzilla vs. Destroya. So, what do you think of his
Isn't
work?
also
Because
the
I
fact
think
that
it's
he also
goddamn amazing.
So isn't that he drew these without looking at like the freaking suits or script?
He might have, actually.
The rumor get going around.
Yeah, I might actually look into that, because I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah. That is why Yuji Sakai is popular in the Godzilla franchise, and if you ask me, I'd say that is with good reason, because these posters are absolutely amazing. And here is a full shot of it, taking up the full screen for you guys to enjoy. Yuji Sakai, my man, you do not disappoint. Alright. So yeah. Are you ready to talk about the actual film, Noah?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that voice. Alrighty, man. Let's jump into this shit. So, the brief rundown of the film. So the film starts off when a Japanese fishing vessel is attacked by Godzilla. And I don't actually know the name of the vessel. But yeah, this fishing vessel was attacked by Godzilla near a island that I know the name of it, but I don't know. I can't remember it. Anyways, and yeah, a reporter actually happens upon this fishing vessel by the name of Goro Maki, and not only does he discover the remains of the ship, but he also recovers a survivor from the attack who, well, he's basically scarred for life after what he's seen, understandably so. So yeah, long story short, the reporter finds the destroyed vessel and the survivor, and once news of this ship attack reaches mainland Japan, the Japanese government keeps the public in the dark and suspect that Godzilla's return is inevitable. And as a result, they start collaborating with other governments across the world to try and figure out a way to stop Godzilla. And as I mentioned before, America just wants to say, fuck it, drop a nuke on him. Even though we all realize that Godzilla would just get stronger from that, but whatever.
Well, they don't. They don't. So all they really know is that the original Godzilla was strong enough to resist a nuke without harm. They don't know that he gets stronger from it yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That is actually a good point. But yeah, so America just wants to drop a nuke on him, and the entirety of the world's governments just want to resort to destructive measures to destroy Godzilla. But Japan doesn't want it to happen because they don't want nuclear weapons used or manufactured in their country, which, considering Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's a very valid reason not to use them. However, everything is not okay because, yeah, it kind of becomes common knowledge to the public that Godzilla is back when Godzilla makes himself known. He attacks a nuclear power plant and then he starts heading for Tokyo. And a few days later, not only does Tokyo have to be evacuated because of Godzilla's advance, but Godzilla lays waste to an entire freaking military platoon assigned to protect the city. And he does so with very quick and efficient success. So there we go. Our mission has been accepted. The Japanese government and our main heroes must find a way not only to stop Godzilla's rampage, but to either incapacitate and or kill him. Which, spoiler alert, they don't actually do either. And yeah, Godzilla is huge in this movie. He was 50 meters in the last movies. In this one, he's 80 meters tall. So yeah, Godzilla not only has an upgraded design, but he also has an upgraded size and power set. First of all, it is confirmed now that Godzilla in the Heisei series directly has to consume radiation, not only to survive, but to power his atomic energy and powers. So, yeah, unfortunately, Godzilla really has no choice except to attack human civilization. Otherwise, he's gonna starve to death.
Well, I'm pretty sure most of Godzilla's main motives is to search for a food source, just not really caring about anything that gets in his way. of
Right.
said food source. Because
Right.
as stated before in the movie, Godzilla in this movie is more animalistic and has more animal-like behaviors.
Tendencies. We'll say tendencies. And
Yeah.
yeah, that is an excellent point, Noah. And yeah, let's just go ahead and use that to segue into the monster action. Bro, Godzilla in this film is amazing. His suit is absolutely, it's just one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He looks menacing as hell. Bro, I mean, how the hell else do I describe it? He looks amazing. And honestly, granted, it still looks like a guy in a suit, but if you look at it from afar, you really can't tell. You like he just looks like a freaking he looks like a juggernaut. He looks like a reptilian juggernaut that if you get in its way, you're gonna get destroyed. And I love that about this suit design. Um and yeah, like Noah said, this Godzilla in particular does seem a bit more animalistic, and he doesn't actually have malice towards any of the humans because once again, this is Godzilla. This is the second generation of Godzilla, the first Godzilla being dead. And yeah, this version of Godzilla is a very intelligent animal. He is definitely smarter than your average wild creature. Um, and that can be seen in the way he fights the Super X in this film. Which, by the way, the Super X, we need to talk about this for a second, is a flying ship that is designed to, it was designed by the Japanese government to be sort of like a machine that goes after nuclear fallout and neutralizes it. But considering Godzilla's back in town, it's very convenient. Nevertheless, Godzilla does seem a bit more animalistic in this film. Like Noah said again. But he also actually seems like a child in this movie. Like, am I the only one who noticed that? He seems like a curious-ish child. He, like, when he's investigating Tokyo, he only really attacks when someone is attacking him. And when he's in the city, he seems to... Shit, I am sorry. Yeah, he seems to be investigating a lot of shit and trying to understand what a lot of this stuff is. Like, granted, it is horrible how many people died in this little incident, but when the scene where he picks up a train, yeah, that genuinely seemed like he was more of a child picking up the train and being like, "Oh, what is this?" And I really like that about Godzilla in this film. He seems like a curious child who's just exploring this new world that he found himself in.
Yeah. I guess you could put it that way.
A very large, terrifying, and aggressive child that is capable of murdering millions of people with a freaking atomic breath blast. But, you know, still. And speaking
Speaking of
of
the atomic breath,
what?
speaking of the atomic breath, can we just talk about how they portrayed the atomic breath, like on how it looks? Because that's one smooth ass beam.
Oh yeah, dude, I was actually just about to talk about that. The atomic effects for Godzilla in this film are spot on. It looks like a solid concentrated laser and it looks more lethal and deadly than it ever has. And not only that, but you will see in the film, it legitimately can disintegrate people probably at the molecular level, if I'm interpreting this right. Um, yeah, that shit is a powerful ass atomic laser, and honestly, I know that we're not gonna be introduced to his nuclear pulse until later films, but it makes a lot of sense for Godzilla to have more than just one atomic power. And yeah, Godzilla's atomic breath, good god, dude, that thing is devastating. However, not only does he have the atomic breath, but we do see in this film a lot of times that he will not exclusively use his atomic breath, as, like I said earlier, he does use his intelligence and different methods of battle to go up against the Super X. Whereas he, like, granted, at this point in the film, when the Super X is down on the ground, yeah, Godzilla doesn't, like, it's implied that the Super X is beyond repair, but Godzilla doesn't know that. He still thinks it's a dangerous freaking animal, so he decides to push a building over on top of it and destroy the damn thing. And I don't think in any of the movies we've ever seen Godzilla adapt his fighting style, so I really like that little touch there. And with the monster action, unfortunately, there is no other kaiju for Godzilla to fight, but the effects and the special effects are still jaw-droppingly awesome. Unfortunately, there are some close-up animatronic shots of Godzilla that look...
A bit questionable.
Yeah, we'll say questionable. But when it comes to the human action in this film, so yeah, the human aspect of this film is actually kind of interesting. Not only do we have the government officials and everyone trying to stop Godzilla, which fails spectacularly, by the way, every single time, despite the fact that the Japanese government in this film seems to be more advanced than they ever were, as they literally have laser-mounted tanks mass-produced in their country. Explain, please?
Movie logic. Don't question it. It's a monster movie.
I'm sorry, but if Japan has this kind of technology, how have they not become a major superpower in the world yet? Just some of the shit we see in these movies is awesome. And not only that, but I also really like the fact that in this movie, just like in the original, not only is conventional weaponry useless against Godzilla, but they have to find a completely different method than they plan to use to defeat Godzilla. Whereas the human character, scientist guy, he basically figures out that Godzilla is attracted to birds for some reason. Again,
Well,
probably
not,
because
not
he's
attractive,
childish.
but has similar. Like, Godzilla has similar sort of system to birds in a way of traveling, like in what direction he should go, except.
Oh, okay. You see, I didn't
So he's not
realize
attracted.
that, Noah. Thank you.
But yeah, like, he's not attracted to birds. It's just him and the birds have a similar sort of location system. Just,
Navigation. Okay.
yeah, navigations.
I probably completely
why
missed that when I
whenever-
watched the movie. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
But yeah, like, if you do remember that one scene where he saw the birds and he started following them, that's because he had the same senses as the birds and proceeded to go in the same direction.
Okay, that's actually really cool. Having Godzilla follow the Earth's magnetic field. I never even thought about that before. Yeah, I actually really like that now. Thank you, Noah. And yeah, the human aspect of this film, not only did they use that to attract Godzilla, and shit like that, but they also decide that basically because they can't kill or incapacitate Godzilla, not only because he was too strong at the beginning of the film, but after the Soviets accidentally drop a nuke on Tokyo, Japan, Godzilla becomes even stronger. Godzilla essentially cannot be defeated at that point, or before that point either. So they decide to lure him towards a volcano by the name of Mount Mihara, and they drop Godzilla's big ass in it.
Well, we gotta go back to that nuking scene, because it didn't just empower him, but you have to remember that it basically revived him.
Essentially, well, Godzilla wasn't dead.
Well, he was drugged nearly to death.
Well, yeah, but that's not gonna kill the
For
big guy.
For some reason, the government did not think of reusing that strategy in later movies. Did they just completely forget that the fact that it actually worked in putting the big G down?
I mean, I guess, but what they did in that scene was like they gave him like super heartburn, essentially.
Yeah, they did.
And like overloading Godzilla's body is both a good and a bad idea because if you can overload Godzilla's body when it comes to heat, well, yeah, it might give Godzilla some bad body effects, but it's it's also runs the risk of, if he does die from it, you're gonna kill everybody within a 9-mile radius. So maybe that's why they didn't use it in future films, but yeah, or maybe
Well,
they
if
did.
not,
Maybe
well,
they
if
did
not the
try, and Godzilla just didn't have any effect against it anymore, or from it anymore. That being said, however, yeah, Noah's totally right. There is a scene in the film where Godzilla is shot by this like super heartburn sort of like missile that overloads his body with heat, and as a result he passes out and is unconscious, and he is extremely vulnerable at this point. And honestly, without the Soviets accidentally launching that nuke, Godzilla may very well have met his end in this first movie. However, that missile did blow up in the atmosphere because the Americans launched their own nuclear warhead at it. And yeah, Godzilla basically absorbed all the radiation from those two nukes through lightning. And I looked it up. That is actually a new power of Godzilla's. He can attract lightning from lightning from the sky like a lightning rod. So yeah, that's kind of terrifying. And not only can it basically jumpstart his heart and jumpstart his body, but it can also supercharge his abilities, which is very interesting and terrifying at the same time. So yeah, Noah, with all that stated, do you have anything else you would like to talk about with this film?
actually not yet, because I was gonna bring up a character, but I don't think she's in this movie.
No, she's not. But if we're gonna talk about another interesting film character, might I introduce you all to the best character in this film? Roll the clip.
Don't act like a big shot, Hick. You just got to town. If you want to hang around with me, you better learn some manners, huh?
Dude, how the hell do you have that big of brass balls to talk to the king of the monsters that way, my man? How the hell? Don't act like a big shot, Hip. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
oh god.
Oh,
I remember that scene.
best damn character in the film by far, man. That's great.
Second only to the main character, Homeless Man. I'm gonna
Oh
need
my
to
god.
rewatch the movie to find Homeless Man.
The modern MonsterVerse films need to catch up, man, because the older films definitely had way better human elements than they do now. Oh my god. That was fantastic. Alright, so with all that being said, Noah, who would you recommend this film to, audience-wise?
Well, seeing as how the tone of this movie did go back to the original, I would say more against the adults. But if this were, if you were to use the 1985 one, then I guess more younger audience would be fine.
Sorta. Yeah, no, the 1985 version was just, I mean, it's good for what it is, but with how many scenes they replaced and just added in, it just got stupid. And they,
Yeah.
at one point,
Also,
tried to turn the whole movie into a comedy, which I think is kind of pathetic.
I got one last thing to say about this movie.
Alright?
Product placement.
Yes! Jesus Christ. Yeah, it is worth mentioning that this film partnered with Dr. Pepper, and as a result, oy vey. So yeah, with that being said, let me get that off here. Yeah, with that being said, in terms of audiences I would recommend this film to, first of all, I would go ahead and obviously the hardcore Godzilla fans, they're going to absolutely adore this movie, and I think it's easily one of the best in the entirety of the series. Possibly the best in the Heisei series, though we still do have to go through some more. Um, And yeah, the Heisei series itself coming up does have a lot of great films. But this one, I would recommend it to super fans of Godzilla who are like, they love everything Godzilla and want to see more of him, can't get enough of him. But I would also recommend this film to like any monster fan in general. In a way, sci-fi fans, though not as much. And seeing as how this film is basically the closest thing we got to a horror-based Godzilla film, I would go ahead and say horror films. And yeah, like I would, yeah, that's basically that. So yeah, Noah, how do you feel now that we got the first Heisei Godzilla film out the way?
Joyful.
Oh, dude. This film was great to watch for this Godzillathon, and I am ecstatic to cover the rest of them. So yeah, guys, join us tomorrow when we go ahead and cover the second film in the Heisei series, Godzilla vs. Biollante, from 1989. Thank God the Americans didn't get to re-edit that one.
Only dubbed it.
Yep. See you next time, guys.
Alright, y'all know the drill. Like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Y'all want more videos, right? More kick-ass shit? Well, good, because I want more views. Let's help each other on this.